Men or women who came down from the mountains or from the surrounding countryside who were willing for very high fees to take away the dead and have contact with the dead.
The smells must have been very difficult, and people tried to accommodate that by having fires and, having sweet smells around. They tried to cover up the smell of death. But you can only go so far with that.
In the spring of 1349, graves must be found for nearly 300 people a day in London. Avignon, where the papal court resides, is devastated. In one 6-week period, 11,000 people are buried in a single graveyard. It is said the Pope was finally driven to consecrate the River Rhone, in which countless bodies are dumped through necessity. In Italy, too, traditional burial rites have to be abandoned.
They were layered like layers of a lasagna. They would put the bottom layer, sprinkle a little dirt, a second layer, sprinkle a little dirt, third layer, sprinkle dirt.
In Siena, in the Tuscany region of Italy, the death toll is so high that work has to be abandoned on the city's new cathedral. Agnolo de Tura, a resident of Siena, raises a lament that has lost none of its poignancy after 6.5 centuries.
In many places, great pits were dug and piled deep with the multitude of the dead. And as soon as those ditches were filled, more were dug. I, Agnolo di Tura, buried my 5 children with my own hands. And so many died that all believed it was the end of the world.
In spite of the personal risk, many courageous clerics continue to attend the dead and dying. Some doctors seeing patients to save themselves. Not Guy de Chauliac.
He stayed. I think there was not just bravery, but a certain scientific curiosity there. He wanted to see what this great blazing demon was and how it worked.
Guy de Chauliac seems to do what a more modern medical practitioner would do, which is he doesn't understand the disease, so he takes part in helping individuals with the disease until he gets it, and then he writes about it.
In his remarkable journal, the careful surgeon catalogues the symptoms of the disease, its different forms, and the treatments which seem to be most effective. In the summer of 1348, Guy de Chauliac, still adhering to the theory of an invisible poisonous vapor, prescribed fire itself to Pope Clement VI. Great basins of oil and wood are set ablaze on either side of the Pope's throne, a fortress of flames against the ravages of the plague.
It gives us this image of the Pope running from society, so to speak, sequestered in an interior room that is now blazing hot with fires built up around him. Clemens formed his own hell, if you will, in order to keep out of plague's reach.
And if your dominant medical theory of disease causation is the miasmas and the bad vapours in the air, then if the smoke given off by the fire has a purifying effect, then clearly that makes some sort of sense in terms of warding off infection.
The Pope, helped by his isolation and some luck, survives the plague. But Princess Joan, favorite daughter of the King of England, does not. Like millions around her in Europe, she falls victim to the Black Death. Her father, Edward III, is powerless to do anything but mourn.
Destructive death, who seizes young and old alike, has lamentably snatched from us our dearest daughter, whom we loved best of all.
All the trappings of authority just disappear, and you see